And welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com. This is Inside the Program with your host, Justin Wells. I'm with the managing partner at Inside Texas, my co-pilot, Eric Nalin. Eric, we got a lot to cover and a little bit of time to get to. Let's just get straight to it. We're talking about team info today. We got a lot of stuff on portal stuff, including a new tight end that joined the mix, a cornerback that could potentially be joining the mix. We're going to talk about Junior Day. We got some headliners coming in, but we also have some kids that we need to let guys know about that could be offered. They're on offer watch right now, and so there is a ton to cover on the 40 acres. There's such a good buzz going there right now. Real quick, though, like and subscribe to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel. Be sure and give us a like and subscribe. We're getting close to 6,000 subs. Help us out there. This thing is growing faster than we can imagine. Eric, winter workouts begin on Tuesday. We get back into team stuff. It seems like we've been recruiting in portal mode since the Sugar Bowl. Now we get to talk a little bit about team stuff. Obviously, it's the basics. It's the underwear Olympics, workouts, agility drills, things like that. Real quick, what are a few nuggets that you posted earlier and some things we can expect from the team over the next few days and week?
Yeah, well, by now their break is over. Everybody's back on campus. The 17 true freshmen are on campus. A couple of additions via the portal are already on campus as well. They're getting acclimated. That's the name of the game, is getting everybody situated, acclimated, get the younger guys into the groove of going to class, into the structure of it. You know, these are young 17, 18-year-old guys, and they're away from home for the first time. So they want to experience college, but also, you know, it's key for them to get in a groove early on, set a good foundation for their first semester in college, and just basically buy into what's going on in the program. It's a tough transition for some. It's easier for others. But the next couple of weeks are all about getting that buy-in and getting everybody off to a strong start. So yeah, they'll start workouts on Tuesdays. It's just weights. You know, for the younger guys, it's really breaking down, deconstructing how they already lift and making sure they're lifting properly. You know, a lot of these guys got good instruction in high school, but some of them didn't quite get that much instruction. So they want to make sure they're lifting right, safely. And so the younger guys will kind of lift together. And then over time, they'll assimilate with the older players. And of course, you know, this time of year is the older players' chance to really take over and become leaders and replace all the leaders that they lost last year. And they lost a lot of them. They lost a lot the year before as well, but this year even more. So the first couple of weeks are going to be setting the tone from a leadership standard. Sark is going to be instrumental in cultivating that environment for the next wave of leaders to take over and start running the program. And you know, really, it's the players have to start learning from it by example, and you know that's where that leadership comes in. There's plenty of guys to take the mantle. You know, there's still plenty of holdover guys that have experience in that regard, so that'll be part of it as well. As they get into February, they'll start doing more team run, which is a lot of agility drills, a lot of the stuff we all did in high school. If you played football or basketball, those mat drills, those godforsaken mat drills that kicked everybody's butt, they'll do some of those. And then they'll start doing the very basics of install. And, you know, they have to start from scratch with so many freshmen. So that's pretty much what's going to occupy February. Then they'll go to spring break. Last year they had a week of practice and then spring break, and then they came back. This year I think they're going to start from scratch with spring ball after spring break. Then they'll go into spring ball. And then, of course, on April 20th, a perfect day for you Austinites that partake in 420, they'll have the spring game. And so that'll be spring. And then we're covering recruiting all over again. It's just another cycle at Inside Texas.
That's it. And, you know, you said it, you know, this is the second year where there's a ton of freshmen that are enrolling early. And this is all new to them. I remember one of the freshmen years ago talking to one of his high school coaches saying, hey, man, I don't know where to go. I'm confused. Everything is going so fast. And he said, man, just follow the leader. Just get in your line, get in your space, and follow that guy. And I said, after a few weeks, you'll get acclimated. You'll start to understand the whole time management and the whole fitting in where you get in. And I love that Sark brings in 80% of his 2024 class is going to be on campus. Like that to me is just that just shows the self-motivated kids, the guys that are going to be coming in and ready to work, just like the previous two cycles. Absolutely. All right. They've added, you know, we're still going to touch on team a little bit, but let's talk about this new tight end real quick. Amari Niblack. Now, at some point, they're probably going to have to rename the Crimson Tide's college, University of Texas at Tuscaloosa, because it feels like Sark is cherry picking these Alabama kids at a pretty high rate right now. 6'5", 230, 235, caught a touchdown against Texas in week 2. Kid looks fantastic. Just give the fans a good taste of what Amari Niblack's going to be able to do, replacing potentially a Jatavian Sanders in this offense.
Yeah, I think he's basically hoping, he's going to be what fans have hoped Juan Davis would have become or has a chance to become. He's an athletic, leaner guy, or if Jaleel Billingsley had a better football evaluation, football character, he's that kind of guy. He's a very athletic tight end, way more on the receiver spectrum of the position. However, he does inline block quite a bit. He's not terrible at it. It's just not a strength of his. So he's going to be every bit the matchup nightmare that Jatavian was, I believe. Maybe not quite as big, but he's going to be able to get those mismatches. I go back to that Week 2 game in Tuscaloosa. I think it was the greatest advertisement of all time for a portal window that we didn't know was going to lean this way. But Isaiah Bond saw Quinn Ewers throwing the ball over the top, and Jatavian Sanders torched Alabama between the 20s. So I think it was a great advertisement for this. I think it played a big part in these kids catching their attention for Texas during this portal window.
It's huge, and we know that tight end was a spot that needed to be filled. We know they were talking with the Stanford tight end. They had kind of reached out to a few other guys, but once Niblack hit, I remember you hit our text group pretty quickly, like, okay, we need to get on this. Here's the red flag. We need this kid, and it's interesting that he didn't waste any time. He came into campus and made that commitment and go ahead and move in and start his career on the 40 acres.
Having Isaiah Bond already on campus and in the program was big, because Bond was getting everything that Bond had been pitched on. He was able to say, hey, look, this is what's going on at Texas. And that really he paid it forward and helped get his friend to Austin as well. So 2 major weapons from Alabama and also a linebacker earlier in the week. So yeah, that's not bad. I mean, I feel bad for Alabama as much as I can feel bad for Alabama. But yeah, Texas, with the way things are going in the portal, Texas has a chance to be a favorite going into the season next year.
Yeah, I don't feel bad for Alabama. I might feel a little bad for people that cover Alabama. But there's no love lost here on the Crimson Tide. They've had their fun with Nick Saban over this last 17 years. People want to know, and I'm included. There's one more guy in the portal that needs to be talked about, and that's Jabbar Muhammad, the cornerback out of the University of Washington via Oklahoma State, via DeSoto High School in Dallas-Fort Worth. He came in for a visit a couple days ago. We both of us heard really good things, which I'm not surprised. He's got cousins in the program, and Malik Muhammad and Billy Walton from South Oak Cliff. He's got a lot of the Metroplex friends from Anthony Hill, Jonte Cook. I mean, all the Kendrick Blackshire, all those guys are friends. They all grew up around each other. They all know each other. Jabbar Muhammad decided he wants to go ahead and pop in and get his chance, get his one more year, de facto contract year. Just give us a quick update on how that visit went and where he's supposed to be over the next few days.
Yeah, the visit went well. The visits almost always go well. So it's that's always the first feedback we get. Then you have to dig in deeper and say, hey, did it move the needle? I think it did move the needle. Oregon was a favorite coming into that visit, despite him not having visited Oregon yet. He's going to visit Oregon after Alabama. But I think Texas did a good job of positioning itself. If it becomes, full on, Nike money versus Texas, Oregon's probably going to get him. But Texas is going to be competitive in that regard. Obviously, playing time is available, even though Texas has plenty of bodies at the position. I think Terrence Brooks is being undersold by a lot of fans. We'll get comments on that by the experts in this thread about how Terrence Brooks is not good. Terrence Brooks is still developing as a player. He's not nearly as experienced as Jabbar. But Jabbar would come in and probably find a way to start somewhere. Maybe you can move some bodies around to nickel as well. But, yeah, he's a very good cover corner. He's basically kind of a smaller version of Malik Muhammad, but even more savvy than Malik. And it's hard to be more savvy than Malik. But there's something in that family that makes them cover well and have that football intelligence that most people don't have. But, now he's at Alabama right now. He's sticking to the script. He's not a young player that was going to make an emotional decision by committing to Texas on the spot. He's in Alabama, furthering his understanding of that program. He's got a relationship with Kalen DeBoer, of course. But I think, I think it's going to come down to Texas and Oregon in the end. I had one source put it at 50-50, Texas after the visit. Another source put it at 60-40. I kind of feel like Texas home field advantage carries the day, but there's still plenty of work to do here.
Yeah, and that echoes basically what I heard. Hey, it's close. That's what I was told. Hey, just pay attention because it's close. And unlike some of these other ones, I think Sark kind of went in and closed it pretty quickly. He sealed the deal once these guys got on campus. But like you said, Muhammad's sticking to the script and trying to figure out his next big move. Before we jump into recruiting and jump into Junior Day, which is one of the biggest, largest lists we've seen since you and I have been doing this, we're going to give a little shout out to Andre the Lawyer. Andre the Lawyer is a man that, if you ever get caught in a bad position, anything happens with you with, car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job accidents, wrongful deaths, Andre the Lawyer is a guy that's going to help you out. He's a long-term Inside Texas guy with, tremendous respect for Andre. If you ever get in that position and you need to make that call, 214-444-8808. Andre the Lawyer is the guy that we love. We know that he takes care of Longhorns, but he takes care of everybody. This is a guy that fights hard. He's located in Dallas, Texas, but if you need him, give him a call, 214-444-8808.
We got to figure out who did that picture for him, because he doesn't look like, he's not nearly that handsome in real life. He's a big dopey looking guy, but look at that picture. He looks like $1 million.
Well, that's why they have photographers that got to make you look good with editing.
We need that on Inside Texas for sure. We need that we need a filter. We need that same filter for these videos.
You know what? He punched in the AI machine, hot, nice looking lawyer in the AI. That's what they shot out. That's what it's supposed to look like. That thing confuses the hell out of me. But again, Junior Day, and we're looking at like over 60, potentially 70 guys hitting campus on Saturday. This feels like an old school Mac Brown Junior Day where they used that momentum from a really big season and they pushed it all into this weekend. We're bringing in guys. We're going to talk about some of the headliners real quick, and then we're going to touch on a few players that we feel like are going to be on offer watch, guys that you need to know going into this weekend. And if you don't, if you're not able to see the video, or if you're able to see the video, be sure and check us out at InsideTexas.com. We've updated a lot of stuff here on Friday. Headliners. Let's just start on with the biggest names. And to me, those big names are guys like Jordan Davison, running back out of Mater Dei, Dorian Brew, the new implant in Houston, in the Conroe area, big 5-star cornerback out of Ohio, and then a handful of other guys like John Turntine, who could be the best prospect in the country or in Texas for 2026, and Javion Osborne, who's a potential 5-star running back. I'm gonna start with those guys. I'll throw out something on Davison, and you come through with something on Brew and a few of those other ones. Texas and Davison look fantastic, Eric. This thing hasn't changed. He was on campus for this last year. I remember when that's where we met Jordan Davison, and that's when that relationship began. And we've noticed that Sark loves to open that pipeline to these big programs nationally, one of those being Mater Dei in Santa Ana, California. To me, Jordan Davison coming in is big because not just because he's the #1 running back target on the big board, but because Ohio State is coming hard. Alabama is still coming at him. USC is making a strong push. I was able to catch up with him recently, and listen, his relationship with choices is really good and really solid. And his relationship with some of the former teammates and also the recruits in his current class. Marcus Harris is another guy. He's not going to be in this weekend. I believe he's going to be at Tennessee, and then Tennessee this weekend. But
Nasir Wyatt's coming in. Nasir Wyatt's coming in. Sean Scott's coming in. 2026 class. Yeah, Mater Dei's descending on Austin in ways that used to dream about getting guys from that school visiting on campus, and now they're not just visiting, but they're viable targets.
Yeah, and to me, that shows Sark his penchant for, we knew he was going to go on the West Coast. We knew he was going to plant a flag on that side of the country. He has really done that. Bringing in guys that he has. I think the Brandon Baker get from 2024, the 5-star offensive tackle, was huge. Davison and Texas are trending well. What's the latest on Dorian Brew and a few of those other headliners?
Yeah, just looking at the corners they got coming in, Dorian Brew, Jabbar Antoine, and Kobe Sellers are 3 guys that are pretty big priorities. Dorian Brew is a move-in from outside of Columbus, about an hour from Columbus. His mother is in the Track Hall of Fame at Ohio State. He has extreme familiarity with that program. It's exciting that he lives down here in Texas now, but I think he's going to be returning home when it's all said and done, and he can make a commitment in the coming weeks. So it's good that the staff is getting him on campus, because who knows what's going to happen throughout the recruiting cycle. It's still extremely early. You want to get the guy on campus and build some familiarity. I do think he does have some interest in Texas if he does stay in this part of the country. Yeah. However, the siren call to return home might be too strong. And then, Jabbar Antoine, I almost put in an RPM for him, a prediction a couple weeks ago, and I'm glad I held off. Texas, I think, was the favorite. And then, I started seeing, hey, Corey Raymond might go there. I'm like, all right, let's let this play out a little bit. I'm still, Texas is still in the mix on that one for sure. Oh, yeah. LSU's got to turn around that defense, and Corey Raymond hasn't really been turning out top flight talent in quite a while. He's got to make up for the last couple of years. He's got to overcome the fact that he just got fired at Florida. So we're not counting out Texas at all. Terry Joseph, of course, is going to work all the angles in Louisiana. So that'll be interesting. I want to get his thoughts on kind of how he feels about Texas and the Corey Raymond hire. And then Kobe Sellers, Shadow Creek. I think if Texas pushes hard here, I think they're going to have a good chance. They've got his teammate Anthony Williams committed. The two are pretty dang close. Ja'Cory Watson, a wide receiver at Shadow Creek, is also part of that group, and they're all close. So I'll be watching Kobe Sellers. He's that lead corner. We talk about the guys that can play and move, switch positions. Sometimes that gets you in trouble because they're not true corners. Kobe Sellers is a true corner.
And, I caught up with Sellers yesterday. He actually sent me a picture. Sark and Gideon were by Shadow Creek yesterday, and they went to see him. And this is coming on the heels of his Georgia visit. He got an offer not too long ago from the Bulldogs and went and took a trip, and they blew him away. But I'm with you. I think Texas, they've been on Sellers for well over a year. We met Sellers at this event last year or a subsequent event, maybe in the early spring, and he's been coming back ever since. Multi-sport kid, played on both sides of the ball when he was in private school. I'm a big fan of Sellers. Jabbar, like you said, Corey Raymond, man, that's going to change the dynamic of that recruitment a little bit. But Texas has an ace in the hole there with Derek Williams. Jabbar absolutely adores Derek Williams, the sophomore, future sophomore safety at Texas, and I think that helps him as well. I'll touch on a few guys from my part from my neck of the woods. Keati Armstrong, the ginormous tight end out of Jasper, he's going to be on campus as well, and he's a guy. He's a national tight end offer type guy. I met him at a playoff game when they played Waco Connolly probably 3 months ago, and his hands are just. I mean, we meet a lot of big guys, Eric, but this dude's hands were just like Shrek. Like this dude was just huge, size 18 shoe. I mean, and I asked his coach, I said, Coach, is that an offensive tackle? And he said, not if you want to recruit him. And so he's a kid that I think that's in the mix. Zion Williams, we posted a story yesterday about defensive priorities, and he is certainly in the mix at defensive tackle at 6'5", about 310, 315. I caught up with him a few days ago. Michigan State just put out an offer. He's still hearing from Georgia, LSU, and Alabama and a few other schools. Him getting on campus, I think, is big. One guy that I think Texas is in an excellent spot for right now is Pleasant Grove athlete Lance Jackson out of the Texarkana area. People might remember his older brother Landon committed and signed with LSU, transferred to Arkansas, became all SEC edge defensive end for the Razorbacks last year, and is returning for his senior year. People think Lance would lean Arkansas in that regard, but when I caught up with him, Lance doesn't know if those coaches are even going to be there by the time he signs. Lance is a really smart kid. He grew up liking Texas, like Landon did. Yeah, he grew up liking Texas, and PK has sold him on playing that edge. He's like, and they like him at multiple spots. They like him at tight end. He might
be the best tight end in the state, and the state is loaded at tight end. You mentioned Keati Armstrong. You also got Nick Townsend coming in from Duquesne, who's a freak athlete that could play either side too. He could be an edge or tight end. I don't know what's going on. There's some positions that normally aren't common in Texas are loaded this year. There's plenty of linebackers. There's tons of offensive line. D tackles are usually hard to find. I know you're going to talk about Zion here in a second. Brandon Brown, he's a Florida kid, but a Texas commit. That's a D tackle. It's loaded. Lance Jackson, I'm a fan. I kind of think he's a better tight end, but I don't care. Get him on campus and figure it out.
I thought the same thing until I watched him play Gilmer, the 4A state champion, in midseason last year, and I saw the effect he had on the passing game for Gilmer. Pleasant Grove beat Gilmer by 4 touchdowns. That's the Gilmer team that won the state championship. And Lance Jackson was absolute hell for that Gilmer offensive line. And so I can see why PK is kind of, leaning towards, hey, why don't you come over on the defensive side of the ball? You mentioned Brandon Brown. I think that's important. The big-time defensive tackle commit out of Melbourne, Florida, There's no D-line coach right now, Eric. And to me, Zion, that's kind of the stopping point right now. They got to maintain that relationship with these guys. Yeah. And so I think Brandon Brown coming in might be as important as any along that defensive line.
Absolutely. Him and Zion, you got to, sell them on the school. Hey, we'll figure out the defensive line coach. Let us figure that out. We've already got a plan. Trust us on that. But here's what you need to know about the school. You're not just going to a school because of a defensive tackle coach. That is a terrible process. If you pick a school because of a position coach, you're setting yourself up for failure. Look, that's a lot of priorities, and I feel bad. There's plenty more we could have talked about. Riley Pettijohn. There's a lot more priorities than what we talked about. Let's talk about a couple of the guys that might get offered. You mentioned a very intriguing running back out of Chapel Hill.
Absolutely. That people always, they like to know who's coming, but they also want to know, well, who's going to get offered. Well, right now there's a kid, 5'11", about 190-pound 4-star out of Chapel Hill in Tyler, Texas, and that's Ricky Stewart. He's committed to SMU right now. He's got 25-something offers: Michigan, Alabama, TCU, Ole Miss, all in the mix. Oregon. He committed to SMU early, kind of solidifying his spot. Tashard Choice was in East Texas yesterday. He stopped by the Bulldogs and got to see the 4A state runner-ups, and was just absolutely blown away by Stewart. There's a lot of buzz. Talking to Coach Reardon, the head coach out of Chapel Hill yesterday, he said, "Man, once Tashard Choice sent the tape to the guys in Austin, to the staff, there's a buzz there. That they want to see this kid. They're eager to see him." Sark's supposed to go through his stuff today to see if he's going to be qualified for an offer, but we would be absolutely shocked if he's not when he arrives on Saturday. That's a guy to watch. We talked about Jordan Davison. That's that priority one. We know Choice in Texas likes to get 2 running backs in every cycle. Ricky Stewart, that second spot to me is the one that's up for grabs, because Harlan Berry, as of right now, is probably sticking with LSU, especially when you hire family like Corey Raymond back into the fold. I think they're going to be able to hang on to him, but that's not going to stop Texas from pursuing him. Still, they want that number 2 spot. Michael Terry, this is a jumbo athlete out of San Antonio, Alamo Heights. He's a kid that's highly ranked, Eric. This is a guy that's one of the top athletes in the country for 2025. He's starting to get a few offers. We think he's on offer watch as well. You got Jermod Odoms as well, and Marcus Garcia. Kind of go through a couple of those guys and what you see that you think Texas sees.
Well, I saw Jermod Odoms from Lamar at Next Level Athlete Camp in Houston last week, and he's the first person I mentioned in the sea of about 400 kids. I didn't know who he was just by his face, and then I did some research, and it really checks out. He's got all the size and tools. He's really raw. And then Marcus Garcia, he's teammates with Ty Haywood, another one of those headliners. Ty Haywood's in that Kelvin Banks, Brandon Baker phylum of offensive tackles that you just take if you can get them. Marcus Garcia has a very good chance of being offered as well. And then Michael Terry's just a stud athlete. Get him on campus, figure out where it goes if everything else checks out. So it's a loaded junior day. If one of these athletes watches this and we didn't mention it, we'll talk about you on Sunday. Give us a good interview and give us some good content, and we'll make up for it. We promise.
Absolutely. Eric and I are going to be on campus. We'll be there with Joe Cook. We'll be there with our man, Charlie Williams. Inside Texas is going to live large in Austin on Saturday. We do junior days, and we do them big. Be sure to check out InsideTexas.com. It really isn't a better time to join. We've got a deal right now, $1 for a month. Let us earn your business. Give us a shot. Get all that good junior day stuff, because the content will be flowing from the next 24 to 48 hours coming out of that junior day. There's good vibes there, Eric. The recruiting stuff, they were getting top 3 classes before they made the playoff, college football playoff. Now Sark is he's playing with house money. And there's a lot of good vibes coming out from this 2025 cycle as they start to solidify that. Please like and subscribe to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel. Please come see us at InsideTexas.com. Any parting shots, my man, E?
Yeah, I'm excited. Get on the road, get up there a day early in case the weather starts messing with us. So I'm ready to go.
Hey, let's rock and roll. Once again, we thank you so much for joining us at InsideTexas.com and Inside Texas Football YouTube channel. Thank you for making us a part of your day. Hook 'em.